Hello, I'm Kate McDowell from Align Natural Health, and today I'm going to be talking to you about. I can fix my connection over here. About perimenopause secrets. This is something that often is a conversation that a lot of people are confused around, and that haven't been giving a lot of given a lot of information around. And this is actually a phase of our life where a lot of change happens in our bodies. And it's also a phase of life where there's it's really hard to find out what's going on with you. I remember going to see my medical doctor when I was 32, and they said to me, "Oh, you're actually in perimenopause." And I was shocked because I thought this was something like menopause, 32 years old, and I was told I was in perimenopause. That was something that I really didn't expect to hear or to have to start thinking about or talking about until I was at least in my late 40s or in my 50s, and this was something that was brought up in when I was in my low 30s. And this is something that can come up for people for a variety of reasons. But perimenopause, thankfully, is something that's becoming discussed more frequently today because there's a lot of symptoms that are associated with it. And a lot of the times, it's something that's not very well addressed. So that's why I wanted to talk to you today about perimenopause. Because a lot of the times, if you do go to your doctor and you're having these symptoms, so this can be the hot flashes, this can be low sex drive, this can be weight gain. And the weight gain that a lot of women deal with going through perimenopause is like, I'm doing everything that I've been doing in the past. Nothing has changed. I'm eating well, I'm exercising. Why am I gaining weight? And the changes that are happening in our bodies play a really big part of this, but there's a lot of other factors that aren't considered as well. So there's also changes in mood, and there's sometimes very dramatic or drastic changes in your monthly cycle as well. So when it comes to perimenopause, as I mentioned, this can be like a 10 to 15 years or more period leading up to the time where you actually go into menopause. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand. And so you can think I'm in my early 30s and why am I talking about menopause? I'm too young for that. But it's a really good thing to understand and to have a bit of awareness of before you head into this stage of life. Because, yes, and as Amanda said, stress is one of the biggest factors when it comes to anything hormone related, anything health related, really. But when it comes to perimenopause as well, and I believe, although my doctor didn't have an answer for me, didn't have a solution for me, I believe stress was a big part of why I was in perimenopause at 32 years old, because I was living a very stressful life. I was dieting all the time, which is stress on the body. I was exercising like crazy. I just had a lot going on in life. And stress on the body is going to cause a lot of changes in the way that we function. So, when it comes to perimenopause, hormones aren't the whole picture, which was the main thing that I wanted to focus this conversation on. Because a lot of the times, if you go to your doctor because you're dealing with the hot flashes or the low sex drive or the weight gain or the mood changes are a really big one, or the sudden and sometimes drastic or dramatic changes in your cycle, this is where it can be like, okay, well, these changes only happen when there's a dip in your hormones, which can be connected. Yes, this can be a sign that there's a drop in estrogen or there's a drop in progesterone or there's something going on with your hormones. But the Western medicine solution for these things, a lot of the times, is to put you on bioidentical hormones. And although bioidentical, it sounds really fancy. It sounds like, okay, this is identical to what my body's producing. Like basically, they're giving me exactly what I would create naturally. So that's okay. If your body doesn't create them, they are synthetic to you, in my opinion, because your system hasn't created it. So, yes, it may be exactly the same as what your body would create, but it's not yours. So, your body's going to have to figure out how to deal with it. And so if there's underlying things going on here, throwing hormones at it is not going to necessarily solve the problem. So this is why throwing hormones at perimenopause symptoms often doesn't work for a lot of people. because this is typically a sign when you have these symptoms, it's a sign that there's a deeper issue. And so finding the cause is not the Western medicine way of dealing with things. But at Align Natural Health, that's exactly what we do. We use a tool called quantum nutrition testing, and we dig into the deeper issues and find out what's going on with you. What's the cause of the symptoms that you're dealing with? And this is where we start. So, we test your body from head to toe. We test all of the organs and glands to figure out what areas are working well and what areas are needing support. Because if there's parts of your body that aren't functioning properly, this is when imbalances start to happen. And so, if you're dealing with the symptoms that I mentioned, so the hot flashes, the mood changes, the crazy changes in your periods, this is a sign that there's an imbalance somewhere and that we need to figure out what the body needs to get back into balance. So, what are the things that could be causing these issues that you're dealing with? This could be if the brain isn't working properly. If the brain isn't working properly in the way it's supposed to, we're not going to have the proper signals from our body of what hormones need to be produced. So a lot of the times perimenopause symptoms, yes, they correlate with low estrogen or low levels of progesterone. And this is true, but correlation doesn't necessarily mean causation. So yes, there's a relationship between the two, but it doesn't mean that the low estrogen is what is causing the symptoms that you're having. This might actually be a sign that there's something not functioning properly in the brain. So just throwing hormones at the problem may help ease the symptoms in the short term, but it's not going to solve the problem overall. It's not going to resolve the issue. Another reason that you could be having the symptoms is you could be dealing with insulin resistance. And when we see chronic blood sugar dysregulation, so chronic high levels of blood sugar leads to chronic levels of insulin, and insulin is our fat storage hormone. This is going to cause a lot of issues and direct damage to the hypothalamus and the pituitary glands, both of which are in our brain, which can directly shut off hormone production. So that's a problem, and that's something that needs to be dealt with. Throwing hormones at the body, at the situation, is not going to resolve this. And so this is going to continue to be a problem. There's another comment here. There's so many reasons that we could be having symptoms. Yeah, this is why using Q&T is really helpful because we need to figure out why. We need to find the cause of why you're having symptoms. So we've talked about, so it could be something going on with the brain. It could be the insulin resistance. So that could be the fluctuations or the dysregulation in your blood sugar balance in your body. We also could have chronic or systemic inflammation. Systemic inflammation will affect the brain, and this will also cause hormone imbalance. And inflammation can come from a wide variety of sources. It can come from the environment, it can come from food, it can come from toxins or chemicals in our personal care products. And a big one here is food because of the impact that it has on our gut. And the gut plays a huge role in overall health of the entire body. Our immune system, our hormone regulation, so many things are controlled by our gut. So inflammation is a really important factor to consider. And again, throwing hormones at the situation is not going to help us resolve the inflammation that's going on. So this is why the problem is not being fixed with a solution. We also have liver dysfunction. Liver dysfunction can lead to an inability to regulate the inflammation levels, which we just talked about. Did you know the liver has more than 500 critical jobs that it has to do every single day? If the liver is not functioning properly and is unable to process hormones and eliminate toxins well, this can also lead to hormone dysregulation. So, this is another instance where adding extra hormones to the mix is not going to be a good solution because if the liver is clogged up and it's not able to deal with them properly, we're still going to have issues because now the liver has even more to focus on and even more to do, which is going to take away from the other things that important things that it's supposed to do as well. We also have the mitochondria. The mitochondria is where the hormones are produced. It has a really important role with that. So that can that can disrupt hormone balance as well. The little pudge that a lot of women get around their midsection, around the perimenopause phase of life, it's often connected to mitochondrial dysfunction because the body is not able to produce the hormones that it's supposed to be producing or regulate them properly. And then we also have elevated toxin load. So things like heavy metals, things like toxins from BPAs, so that's plastics, phthalates, SLS, which is sodium lauryl sulfate. That's something that you find in a lot of personal care products. So in the shampoos, in the face creams, in um, conditioner, in bubble bath, in so many different things. A lot of these chemicals and toxins are going to have an impact on our hormones as well and our body's ability to regulate them. And if we also have the liver problems that we talked about, the liver is not going to be able to detox these chemicals properly. And so this is just going to be a slippery slope where the body's not able to get back into balance. And then there's stress of any kind. Stress is going to impact so many different things in our body, but if you think about it, stress is very critical when it comes to our body's ability to produce sex hormones. So that's our progesterone, that's testosterone, that's estrogen. And ultimately, these hormones are all related to fertility. So these hormones are all important if you're looking to conceive and to bring another life into this world. And perimenopause for a lot of women is a phase of life where that's not a main focus, but it's still the main reason of having these hormones to begin with. And if you're dealing with a lot of stress in your life, that can be physical stress, like my days of working out like a crazy person and dieting and living with all kinds of life stress. If you're dealing with a lot of stress from physical situations, from chemicals, so all the toxins that I mentioned are causing chemical stress on the body, or emotional stress, from the body's perspective, this is not an important time or a suitable time to reproduce. It's not an important time or a suitable time to bring another life into this world. So if we're dealing with a lot of stress in our life from any aspect or from all the aspects combined, this is going to cause a dysregulation or a suppression in our body's production of the sex hormones because the body's trying to protect you and trying to protect you from getting into a position where you're creating another life and trying to bring that into this world. Um, Creating life is amazing. It's a lot of stress on the body as it is. It takes a lot of toll off of the mother. And it's also, a dangerous situation or a stressful situation is not the best time of life to be bringing a life into the world. So stress is a really big one here. So oftentimes, the symptoms associated with perimenopause, so the hot flashes, the night sweats, the crazy mood changes, the massive changes in your period, the low libido, the weight gain, all of these, while they're related to hormones, oftentimes it's not the hormones that are actually causing the issue. It's a symptom of a deeper cause. So these are all symptoms. And yes, there's symptoms associated with perimenopause and menopause, but this is why we need to figure out why your body is presenting with these symptoms. We need to support the organs that produce these hormones. So those are the liver, those are the brain, and the mitochondria, and then your ovaries as well, or your testes if you're a male. These are all really important organs to support because they're responsible for helping our bodies create these hormones. But we always also need to address the areas that disrupt these things. So things like an underperforming thyroid, things like the inflammation that we talked about, or the blood sugar dysregulation, or the massive amount of toxins that we're all exposed to on a daily basis. These are all going to be things that are going to get in the way of your body being able to function properly and are going to disrupt your ultimate or overall hormone functioning and process in the body. Ultimately, our bodies are always trying to keep us safe. And so this is where at Align Natural Health, we test everyone. As I said, we test you from head to toe, all of the organs and glands, because we want to figure out why. Why are you having the symptoms that you're having? If you're dealing with, the hot flashes or the perimenopause symptoms, and you have liver problems, or you have um, a lot of stress in your life, or you have other things that are underlying, we need to address these things to be able to help you move forward towards having healthier, happier hormones as you go through life, especially in perimenopause, because the women who go from perimenopause to menopause and do it in a relatively effortless way without massive symptoms, without, things getting worse and it being really hard, are the women who have given their body the support that it needs to do this efficiently and smoothly. So if you're going through this phase of life, if you're dealing with any of these symptoms, and if you would like our support to help figure out what's going on with you, what does your body need to get back into balance, to support your hormones and to give yourself the best setup and strategy to move through the rest of perimenopause and into menopause as well in a way that's healthy and supportive to the body, this is where we can help you. So I'm going to drop the link in comments. Hopefully I can do this. We have a special on right now. Today's the last day of February. So it's the last day to access our February Valentine's Day special, where it's 135 for our first two appointments. And this is our new client assessment bundle. So in this bundle, you'll get two appointments with us. We go through all of your medical history. We answer all of your questions, and we ask you a lot of questions too, because we want to get an understanding of what's going on with you. Then we're going to use quantum nutrition testing to test your body from head to toe, all of your organs and glands, to figure out what areas are functioning well, awesome, and what areas also need support. And from there, we test again to figure out what support your body needs to get back into balance. This is what helps our clients have such great success with moving forward and being able to get healthier and, get their symptoms to be far less of a problem because we're actually dealing with the cause. We're figuring out why you're dealing with the symptoms and addressing that rather than just throwing hormones on top of it or some medication. So if you're interested in that, click the link in comments if you're on Facebook or YouTube watching this. If you're on Instagram, grab the link in my bio to book a new client assessment bundle in there. So today's the last day of February. And again, we have our new client special for $135. It typically goes for $200. And yeah, we'll be able to dig into what's going on with you. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments below, or you can reach out to me at any time as well. I'd be more than happy to help you with that. And hopefully you got some value from this. Perimenopause is a time of life that's confusing, and it's really hard to get clarity around what's going on with you. So that's why I wanted to create this live for you, to just shine a bit of light on more of what's going on with your body. And if you would like more information about this, or you have any questions, again, drop them below. I'd be happy to do some more lives with you and answer any questions that you have. And if you know anyone who's going through this right now and who also needs support, please share this with them. I'd be more than happy to help them as well. And ultimately, the goal is to make sure that everyone has all of the resources and the understanding that they need to, get the best support through life and feel better and healthy and happy as much as possible. So I'm just trying to drop the link. Oh boy. And questions. No one's on with me today. Okay, that's fine. All right. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. We have another live coming up on Friday. So if you are not following us on Align Natural Health, facebook.com/Align Natural Health, that's where you'll have access to seeing the schedule of the lives that we have coming up. And you'll stay in the loop with everything. And you can also check out our website. Again, the link is in my bio if you're on Instagram, or I have dropped the link in the comments if you're on Facebook or YouTube. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will talk to you all soon.